StoredIQ's active information management solutions enable organizations to gain visibility and control over big data. With StoredIQ, companies can identify, analyze, and act on dynamic data to meet their e-discovery, information governance, and data management requirements. Built on a powerful, unified platform which dynamically manages data in place, StoredIQ dramatically improves the speed and reliability of information management, lowering legal costs and compliance risks while meeting the stringent requirements that IT departments demand. Today, we're going to focus our attention on RecordsIQ. Available as part of StoredIQ's information governance solution, RecordsIQ intelligently automates the records management process. With RecordsIQ, companies can manage the entire records lifecycle, from identifying and managing document classification and storage to defensible data deletion and cleanup. RecordsIQ identifies and classifies records according to business-defined requirements. It enables users to take immediate action to place records in their proper location and set appropriate retention periods. And it helps clean up outdated records with no business value by automatically destroying documents according to corporate disposition policies. RecordsIQ integrates with over 50 data sources, including industry-leading content management systems such as IBM FileNet, EMC Documentum, and Symantec Enterprise Vault. Let's get a closer look at RecordsIQ, starting with the first step in the records management process, identification. It's important to remember that with RecordsIQ, you can identify all unstructured data across your organization in its native location without first moving data to a content management system. With RecordsIQ, records managers can proactively find, evaluate, and classify files where they live without requiring knowledge worker involvement. And classifications can be built using any combination of keywords, over 250 out-of-the-box attributes, regular expressions, and natural language entities. Now let's dive into the application. You're now currently viewing the RecordsIQ interface. From here, you can identify different classifications of data that reside across your network. You can also manage your file plan on an ongoing basis and view a data map of where different classes of data live across your enterprise. Let's start out by creating a tag to identify a particular class of data. For example, if you want to create a tag for marketing collateral, you could simply type in tech brief and apply the tag to the resulting files. Or you can make it more complex by adding in the term white paper. You also have the option to narrow the scope of your results based on where you're looking. In this example, we'll select a set of data sources called WIPs, or Work in Progress Areas. You can also pick from a number of data attributes to create a tag. Attributes are characterized simply so that you can easily see the highest level on the home screen. In this example, we're going to choose the file attribute extension. We're looking for PDFs, docs, and PowerPoints. Once we're happy with the overall criteria, we can switch between and, or at least. In this particular example, and would make the most sense. Next, we'll click on Search to look for the words tech brief or white paper that are in a PDF, Word document, or a PowerPoint file. With the results, we have the option to view the content of the object, or we can see the metadata that's associated with it. Once we're satisfied that the filters we used give a pertinent result set, we'll save them as a tag. Tagging is a way that you can identify objects across your organization. We already have a marketing tag created, and we can just add this set of filters to that tag. Inside the marketing tag, we have values that have already been created, such as competition, corporate presentations, and other marketing. At the bottom, we have a value named white papers, tech briefs, and data sheets. We can append this exact set of filters to that tag value. Now that the management of our records policies is enabled, we can begin another stage of the records lifecycle, cleanup. Records managers can define cleanup plans and remove non-business and age data that no longer has any business value. And of course, RecordsIQ checks for any applicable retention schedules and legal holds before disposing of any files. To begin our cleanup process, we start with a data map. For all our different classifications of data, there is a breakdown of those classifications across all the data sources across our organization. Here we have several different classifications like corporate information and personal information, and we can click into these to see more detail, like where it exists and who the owners are. For personal information, we can see about 2% of all our data matches this classification. We can also see who the owners are. We can see that it looks like Shackleton has a lot of personal information, like credit card numbers, within his Exchange mailbox that might be worth looking into. We can also see the data sources where this information exists. Having this type of data on our retention system is probably okay because that's fairly locked down. But there is a file share here called Home that has 13,000 pieces of personal information on it. We might want to look into that and perhaps perform some cleanup or remediation steps. Now that we've found our records, we need to act on them, which brings us into the next phase of the records management lifecycle, manage. Here we can take action on our data and execute policies. We can determine where to store records, we can copy or move them from work in progress areas, and we can set retention and disposition periods. Once we've created several classes for our data, we can move into our Manage dashboard. The Manage dashboard is a high-level view of one or multiple file plans within an organization. The first step is to create a new file plan. We can create a new file plan hierarchy from scratch, or we can import one from an existing directory. For today's example, we'll demonstrate how to update an existing file plan. Let's open up Marketing Material. I can see our target name, which is the directory on the content management system, where we'll copy or move our data for retention. And we can see that the series name, which is a friendly name within the StoredIQ system. Out of the box, these two are linked. However, we can unlink them if we'd like to copy or move data to a differently named directory. When linked, if we change one name, the other will automatically update. If unlinked, we can change either independently. The next thing we need to determine is which content management system this directory structure will live on. We do this by selecting an output volume. Each output volume can have one or more profiles, which are the set of options used when moving or copying the data. For example, what do we want to do about the security that exists on a source file? Do we only want to copy the responsive objects or the entire archives? What do we want to do with the email files and calendar entries? We're going to leave those options defaulted for now and go back to our management dashboard. Once our structure is set, we decide what we want to do with the individual series. We were working on the collateral series before, so let's go ahead and open that up. Now we're going to edit what the series does. We want the series to move things from wherever we find them to the content management system directory that we selected previously. Right now, we'll set this to happen on a monthly basis, but if we want to do it daily, weekly, or yearly, we can choose those as well. And then we have the ability to set a window. Since we're looking at work in progress areas, people are often in the middle of creating a record. This option gives me the ability to wait until someone has accessed or modified a file for a given amount of time before we act on it. Enter a 30-day window. If someone hasn't accessed the file in 30 days, we're going to move it. The next option is the ability to determine how long an item needs to be kept once it's placed in a content management system. In this case, for marketing collateral, we'll enter a 7-year retention period. Then the final step in setting up a series is to jump over and look at the classifications. We've selected to use the marketing, white papers, tech briefs, and data sheets tag that we created just a second ago. We could pick other classifications from the list on the right and roll several of them up under a given record series. As we proceed, we can see that these boxes get checked as we fill out the different portions of the series. Only when they're all checked can we enable the series to start acting. This also acts as an approval workflow within the system based on the role of a given user. While records coordinators can set up a series, they can't enable it. Only a records manager can automatically enable a series which will start the process of copying and moving data across the network. Once that's done, we can go back to our dashboard and watch the system perform the work. We can get some basic stats on how many items were acted on in the last run for a given series and how many items were identified for the next run. Looks like several items were identified for the next time this series is run. We can see when the last run was and the status of the run. Green indicates all the items were acted on successfully. Yellow tells me the run completed, but there were some warnings, and red tells me that all or a portion of the run failed. This could have been a transient failure caused by certain data sources being offline, but if a particular series is always showing a red status, we may want to dig into it a bit deeper. To do that, we can dig into the audit trail for the series. All the actions for a given series are fully audited. For this particular series, we can see that for the first time we ran it, multiple items were found and successfully moved. The next couple of times, nothing new that met the classifications for this series were found. We can drill into any of these runs to get the details. For this run, we can see what the source volumes were, where the data was moved to, the specifics of the filters used to identify the items, and even view the exact list of data objects themselves to see what was moved. Once we have this set up, we can sit back and watch the system do the work and manage any exceptions that might crop up over time. Well, that wraps up our tour of RecordsIQ. Thanks for taking time and watching. If you have any questions or would like more information, please email info@storediq.com.